Chapter 12. Lymphatic and immune systems. The language and immunology. Okay, so section 12.1, lymphatic system. As a part of your defense mechanisms, the lymphatic system and its fluid provide surveillance and protection against foreign materials. The body has 3 lines of defense mechanisms against foreign organisms: pathogens, cells, cancer, and molecules, pollutants, and allergens. First, physical mechanisms: the skin and mucous membranes, chemicals in perspiration, saliva, and tears, hairs in the nostrils, cilia, and mucus to protect the lungs. These are described in the individual body system chapters. Second, cellular mechanisms based on defensive cells, lymphocytes that directly attack suspicious cells such as cancer cells, transplanted tissue hormones, or cells infected with viruses or parasites. This is the basis for the lymphatic system. Humoral defense mechanisms. Third, humoral defense mechanisms based on antibodies that are found in body fluids and bind to bacteria, toxins, and extracellular viruses, tagging them for destruction. This is the basis for the immune system. Okay. The lymphatic system. Look at all that. Palatine tonsil. Ooh, that's a big one. Submandibular lymph nodes, cervical lymph nodes, subclavian vein, lymphatic duct, subclavian vein, axillary lymph nodes, thymus lymphatic vessels, thoracic duct, spleen for your lymph system, interesting, intestinal lymph nodes, inguinal lymph nodes, bone marrow, lymphatic vessels. Cool. Okay. A network of thin lymphatic capillaries and vessels similar to blood vessels that penetrates into the interstitial spaces of nearly every tissue in the body except cartilage, bone, red bone marrow, and the central nervous system, CNS. Okay, a group of tissues and organs that produce immune cells. Okay, and 3, lymph, a clear, colorless fluid similar to blood plasma, but whose composition varies from place to place in the body. It flows through the network of lymphatic capillaries and vessels. The lymphatic system has 3 functions. 1, first, to absorb excess interstitial fluid and return it to the bloodstream. Second, to remove foreign chemicals, cells, and debris from tissues. Third, to absorb dietary lipids from the small intestine. The lymphatic network begins with the lymphatic capillaries, which are closed-ended tubes nestled among blood capillary networks. The lymphatic capillaries are designed to let interstitial fluid enter, and the interstitial fluid becomes lymph. In addition, bacteria, viruses, cellular debris, and traveling cancer cells can enter the lymphatic capillaries with the interstitial fluid. The lymphatic capillaries converge to form the larger lymphatic connecting vessels. These resemble small veins and have one-way valves in their lumen. They travel alongside veins and arteries. Cool. The larger lymphatic collecting vessels merge into lymphatic trunks that drain lymph from a major body region. In turn, these lymphatic trunks merge into two large lymphatic ducts. The right lymphatic duct receives lymph from the right arm, right side of the thorax, and right side of the head, and drains into the right subclavian vein. Second, the thoracic duct on the left, the largest lymphatic vessel, receives lymph from both sides of the body below the diaphragm and from the left arm, left side of the head, and left thorax. It begins in the abdomen at the level of the second lumbar vertebra, L2, and passes up through the diaphragm and mediastinum to empty into the left subclavicle vein. Okay, allergen is a substance producing a hypersensitivity or allergic reaction. Allo, it's different, strange. Gen is to produce. Erg is work. So allergic is adjective, it pertaining to suffering from an allergy. Allergy is process of working hypersensitivity to a particular allergen. Antibody, anti against, body, substance, body, protein produced in response to an antigen. Humoral, humorous fluid. I'm sorry, is your bed out of place? Okay. All right. Okay, so defense mechanism arising from antibodies in the blood. Immune, adjective, Latin, protected from an infectious disease. Immunity, iti is condition, immune response, state of being protected. Immunology is a study of, study of, right? So the science and practice of immunity and allergy. Immunologist, one who studies or specialist, medical specialist in immunology. Immunize is verb. Eyes is affect in a specific way. Immune is immune response. Make resistant to an infectious disease. Immunization is a process of affecting in a specific way. Immune response. Administration of an agent to provide immunity. Immunoglobulin. Okay, globule is protein. Specific protein evoked by an antigen. All antibodies are immunoglobulins. Okay, lymph, meaning clear spring water in Latin. A clear fluid collected from tissues and transported by lymph vessels to the venous circulation. Venous. Twisty, Tony. Lymphatic, adjective. Pertaining to lymph or the lymphatic system. Lymphocyte. Okay, so small white blood cell with a nucleus. Node, Latin for a knot. A circumscribed mass of tissue. Parasite, Greek for a guest. An organism that attaches itself to, lives on or in, and derives its nutrition from another species. Pathogen, a disease-causing microorganism. Pollutant, substance that makes an environment unclean or impure. So pollute is unclean. Toxin, Greek for poison. Poisonous substance formed by a cell or organism. Toxic, adjective, pertaining to a toxin, poisonous. And toxicity, which contains two suffixes. Okay, so poison. Okay, so the state of being poisonous. Lymphatic nodes, tissues, and cells. Lymph nodes. At irregular intervals, the lymphatic collecting vessels enter into the part of the lymphatic network called lymph nodes. There are hundreds of lymph nodes stationed all over the body. They are especially concentrated in the neck, axilla, and groin. Their functions are to filter impurities from the lymph and alert the immune system to the presence of pathogens. Ooh, there's a network inside of the node. Oh, so cool. Okay. The lymph moves slowly through the node, which filters. Oh, fucking tons of ravens. Yes. I just fed them this morning. Okay. The lymph moves slowly through the node, which filters the lymph and removes any foreign matter. On its journey back to the bloodstream, lymph passes through several nodes and becomes cleansed of most foreign matter. Macrophages in the lymph nodes ingest and break down the foreign matter and display fragments of it to T cells. This alerts the immune system to the presence of an invader. Lymph leaves the nodes again when it enters into the efferent collecting vessels. All these lymph vessels move lymph toward the thoracic cavity. Lymph tissues and cells. Many organs have a sprinkling of lymphocytes in their connective tissues and mucous membranes, particularly in passages that open to the exterior, the respiratory, digestive, urinary, reproductive tracts, where invaders have access to the body. Lymphatic tissues and cells. Many organs have a sprinkling. Okay, I just said that. Okay, so tissues are the first of the line of defense against pathogens. For example, the airway passages have lymphatic tissue in the submucous layers to help protect against invasion. Macrophages are produced and stored in the spleen. In some organs, lymphocytes and other cells form dense clusters called lymphatic follicles or follicles. These are constant features in the tonsils, the adenoids, and the ileum. Lymphatic tissues are composed of a variety of cells that include T lymphocytes, T cells. The T stands for thymus, where they mature. T lymphocytes make up 75% to 85% of the body's lymphocytes. There are several types of T cells, such as cytotoxin or killer T cells destroy target cells. Their cell membrane holds a coreceptor that can recognize a specific antigen. Coreceptors are named with the letters CD, cluster of differentiation, followed by a number. For these cells, CD8. B, helper T cells contain the CD4 coreceptor and are called, co-receptor and are called CD4 cells. They begin the defensive response against a specific antigen. Memory T cells arise from cytotoxic T lymphocytes that have previously destroyed a foreign cell. If they encounter the same antigen, they can now quickly kill it without initiation by a helper T cell. And suppressor T cells suppress activation of the immune system. Failure of these T cells to function properly may result in autoimmune diseases. And second, now we have B lymphocytes, B cells. These cells mature in the bone marrow. B lymphocytes make up to 15% to 25% of lymphocytes. They are activated by helper T cells, respond to a specific antigen, and cause the production of antibodies called immunoglobulins, IG. The mature B cells are called plasma cells and secrete large quantities of antibodies that immobilize, neutralize, and prepare the specific antigen for destruction. There are null cells. These are large granular lymphocytes that are natural killer cells, but lack the specific surface markers of the T and B lymphocytes. Macrophages, these cells develop from monocytes. They have migrated from blood. They ingest and destroy tissue, debris, bacteria, and other foreign matter. Phagocytosis. Okay, so lymphatic organs. The spleen. Spleen, a highly vascular and spongy organ, is the largest lymphatic organ. It is located in the left upper quadrant of the abdomen, below the diaphragm and lateral to the kidney. It is the only organ in the body can live without. The spleen contains two basic types of tissue. White pulp and red pulp. Okay, so white pulp is a part of the immune system that produces T cells, B cells, and macrophages. The blood passing through the spleen is monitored for antigens. Antibodies are produced and the foreign matter is removed. Okay, red pulp, which acts as a reservoir for your erythrocytes, platelets, and macrophages that remove old and defective erythrocytes. The functions of the spleen are to produce T cells, B cells, and macrophages, phagocytize bacteria and other foreign materials, initiate an immune response to produce antibodies when antigens are found in the blood, phagocytize old defective erythrocytes and platelets, hemolysis, serve as a reservoir for erythrocytes and platelets. Tonsils. The tonsils are two masses of lymphatic tissue at the entrance to the oropharynx, where they entrap inhaled and ingested pathogens. Adenoids are similar tissue on the posterior wall of the nasopharynx. The tonsils and adenoids form lymphocytes and antibodies, trap bacteria and viruses, and drain them into the tonsillar lymph nodes for elimination. They can become infected themselves. The thymus gland. The thymus gland has both endocrine and lymphatic functions. T cells develop and mature in it and are released to the bloodstream. The thymus is largest in infancy and childhood and reaches its maximum size at puberty. It then regresses into a small structure in the adult and eventually replaced by fibrous and adipose tissue. Crazy. Like something that gets smaller. There's a large thymus in an infant and smaller thymus in the adult. Okay, let's read these. Co-receptor. A cell surface. Okay, or is a doer, co with or together, and recept is receive. Okay, cell surface protein to enhance the sensitivity of an antigen receptor. Cytotoxic, agent able to destroy cells. Follicle, Latin for small sac, spherical mass of cells containing a cavity or a small cul-de-sac such as a hair follicle. Macrophage, large white blood cell. WBC, that removes bacteria, foreign particles, and dead cells. Phage is to eat. Macro is large. Okay. Null cells, Latin for none. Lymphocytes with no surface markers, unlike T cells or B cells. Phagocytes, blood cell that ingests and destroys foreign particles in cells. Phagocytize, ingest foreign particles and cells. Phagocytosis, process of ingestion and destruction of foreign particles in cells. Phagocytic, adjective pertaining to phagocytes or phagocytosis. Plasma cell derived from B lymphocytes and active in formation of antibodies. Okay, adenoid is resemble aden gland. Single mass of lymphoid tissue in the middle at the back of the throat. Reservoir, a cavity that stores fluids. French for collection place. Reservoir. Spleen, Greek for spleen. Vascular lymphatic organ in the left upper quadrant of the abdomen. And tonsil, massive lymphoid tissue on either side of the throat at the back of tongue. Okay.